back to my channel. My name is Diala Mako. Thank you so much for the new set of people that have subscribed to my channel in the last couple of months. I really appreciate it. So you guys really liked my last video about things to know before moving to Ireland. So today I'm just going to be talking about deciding to do your postgraduate degree in Ireland and pursue a master's degree in Ireland. So I did my postgraduate degree in Ireland in 2018, or I started my program in 2018, and these are just a couple of tips that I think would have been helpful before I started my program. So here we go. So I'm going to be talking about the application process of getting into school here. Then I'm going to talk about the visa process for visa required students. Then I'm going to talk about the postgraduate opportunity that Ireland offers for international students. And yeah, let's get into it. So the first thing is the application process of actually getting into school in Ireland. So I was switching from a non-business course to a business program. So when I got my conditional offer to my school, I had to do a conversion course first before I could get fully accepted. I don't know if that's the case in a lot of schools, but that was just for my school and my course. So yeah, once you apply, usually the documents they require are your transcripts from your undergrad program, and some schools ask for IELTS, or the schools don't, so it depends on the school you apply to. There are a lot of great universities in Ireland, in Galway, Dublin, Cork. All the schools are not just in Dublin, but I think Dublin does have the most colleges and universities in that area in Ireland. So you can apply to multiple schools. I don't remember them charging an application fee like other schools do, but they do charge an acceptance fee once you get into the program to secure your position. Yeah, so that's it with applying for a program in a university. Then once you get your program, the next step is paying your fees. The fees in Ireland are considerably high, but I don't think it's as bad as America or some other places. International students, like most other places, pay double what home students pay. So you could be paying anywhere between 11,000 euros and 22,000 euros, depending on the school, depending on the program, depending on a bunch of other factors. So that is also something to consider. And the tuition fee does not cover the cost of living. So with Ireland, you're required to pay all your fees down before landing, but not before applying for your visa. So when applying for your visa, some of the things that they will ask for is like proof of the living cost. Living costs in Ireland are about between 6,000 to 10,000 for the semesters you'd be enrolled as a student. So you're required to also have proof of funds showing that you have that. You're also required to buy student travel insurance or health insurance. I think it's health insurance that covers you for the entirety of your program. So that's another cost to consider. And upon paying for all of that and applying for your visa, if you're from a visa required country, you submit all your documents, and from my country it takes like about a month or a month and a half to get your visa processed. So if all that goes well and you get into Ireland, you are required to pay another 300 euros for an IRP, a residency permit card. So it doesn't just stop at the visa fees and all those other fees. You have to pay a residency card which lasts for 1 year. And then if you're switching over to another visa in the process or after your program is done, you pay for the 300 again. You pay for it every year you're living in Ireland as a foreign resident, as a foreign citizen and a resident. So with Ireland, you're required to have your living costs on you before you land in order to support yourself. I think people from non-visa required countries are usually required to just have half the amounts, like 3,000 euros, while visa required students are needed. While visa required students need to have the full amount before, like proof of funds that showing you have the full amount before starting your program. So a lot of people ask about being able to work to support yourself while you're in college, And me personally, I was able to do that from my second semester, but even then it was just like a couple of hours of work here and there. It wasn't for the whole entire program, because at the end of the day, like, I was here to get a master's degree, so that was my personal priority. But I did have other students in my course and in my school that worked as much as they could while they were in college. So with Ireland, as a student, you're allowed, as an international student, you're allowed to work 20 hours during school sessions and 40 hours during the holidays. So 40 hours is full-time, 20 hours half part-time. So with 20 hours and the minimum wage is about 10 euros, you can considerably make enough to pay your rent and like feed yourself for a month if you're able to get a job that can give you those full set of hours. Now with COVID and everything that's happened, a lot of retail and hospitality industry that usually hire students are not really in full function. So my advice would be to have your complete money for your living costs like on you, because it's not so easy to rely on getting a job nowadays. If things get better and like hospitality and retail open back up, I'm sure there'll be a lot of opportunities for students to work while they're studying, but it's not as easy at the moment. So I get a couple of questions asking like what courses best to study, what courses are good for employability once you're done with studies in Ireland. And I always say just look at what's on their critical skills list. If you're thinking about pursuing a program, it's always best to kind of find a course that aligns with the critical skills list, because it's just easier to know what job shortages there are in the country, so you can kind of know where the employability would be, if that makes sense. So let's say you've gotten into Ireland, you've passed your visa application process, and you're done with your program, and you decided that you like Ireland, you want to stay here for the 2 years post-study and maybe beyond that. What is the process? So as soon as your program is completed and there's an agreement between you and your university that your program is completed, you don't have to wait till your graduation. You can get a letter from your school stating that you've completed your program, and you can proceed to the GNIB office and ask them to switch your visa to a 1G visa. So the 1G visa allows you to work full-time in Ireland without a work permit. So that 1G visa is for 2 years, but honestly some Gardaí and some immigration people give you less than that based on their own personal discretion. But it's supposed to be for 24 months and not longer than that. So with that stamp, you can work full-time, any company, any industry. Doesn't have to relate to what you study, doesn't have to meet any salary requirements. You can just work full-time for a 2-year period. So getting a job during that period, like a lot of recruitment people and HR people don't fully understand what the 1G visa is, so you find yourself explaining to them like, oh, I'm allowed to work full-time, I don't need to be sponsored, I don't need a sponsorship for the main time. So trying to explain that to them and just getting the opportunities to get yourself in the Irish labour market and just get a bit of experience can be a bit daunting, but you make the most of it. There are people always willing to give opportunities, especially if you have previous work experience. If you have previous work experience in the industry you're looking towards, they do value that a lot. So that can make your journey on this process a bit easier. So the 1G is for 2 years, and within that 2 years you renew once, like after the first 12 months, you're allowed to renew again for another further 12 months. You pay the 300 before, and you pay the 300 like before you start the 1G, and you pay in the middle of the 1G, so you pay twice. So that's about a total of 600 euros. So the kind of jobs that offer sponsorship in Ireland, in order to move from the 1G to maybe a work permit and like a residency, you need to get a job within either the critical skills list, and then you have to meet a certain salary requirements that's stated on the website. I will put the link below if anyone wants to check that out. So yes, like I said previously, check out the list to know what industries are hiring, or like what industries have shortages in, so that way you can kind of tailor what you do your masters in, especially if your goal is to become more employable in Ireland once you're done with your program. Yeah, so the ideal visa is the critical skills visa because it's for 2 years. You get to sponsor a spouse if you're married. You get to, it puts you on a faster track to residency and relocation if that's your final goal. And the critical skills is for 2 years. So after the 2 years, you then get a permanent residency in Ireland. If you do get a job opportunity and your 1G has run out, you can apply for, or your company that you're working for can apply for a general work permit for you. I'm not completely sure about how the process is for that because I know there is a labour market skills test that the company needs to do before hiring for that particular role. That role is not subject to a 2-year work contract like the critical skills one is. It can be for one, I think, at least a year, and then it's not subject to the salary limit the way the stamp one is. I hope I've been a bit helpful in my little rant about Ireland and moving here for post-study. Feel free to leave a comment below. I'm happy to answer any further question anyone has. And yeah, thank you guys so much for subscribing, and don't forget to like this video and check out some of the other videos I have about living in Ireland and just the experience I've had over the last couple of years. So thank you guys for watching, and I'll catch you guys later. Bye.